you think if you were able to get on the debate stage that you could pull even with Trump and Clinton in these polls?
I do. And it wouldn't have anything to do with my debate performance either. And based on that, I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as a leader.
There was Gary Johnson earlier this week, Libertarian candidate for president, their nominee right there. Governor Johnson, thank you for joining us this morning. What was that about?
Well, the fact that 65% of Americans don't even know who I am. So what do I need to do if I was in the presidential debates? I would just need to show up, and a lot of people would become aware that I am actually a candidate. George, I just find it incredibly interesting that I'm polling higher than Perot was polling when he was allowed into the debates. And I'd just like to point out to everybody, Presidential Debate Commission, made up of Republicans and Democrats that just have no intention whatsoever of seeing anyone other than a Democrat or a Republican on the stage.
Actually, in our poll, you're not polling higher than Ross Perot was back in 1992. You're at 5%. In our poll, I think Ross Perot was at 6% or higher. But in the past, you said you couldn't win without a debate, that it's, quote, game over if you don't get in the debates. So why keep going?
Well, that it still is an ongoing process to get to 15%. Your poll is incredibly low, and I recognize polls. Hey, you know, you're at 15% in the polls one day, but 5%, wow, this is out of the blue. If, in fact, it is an accurate poll, then, you know, who's to say? But those numbers that you were quoting earlier, you know, earlier this week, I'm leading among independents. I'm tied for lead among millennials. Active military personnel. I am leading among active military personnel. So nobody's talking about balancing the federal budget. Nobody's talking about the threat of a runaway government. Nobody's talking about reforming Medicaid or Medicare. Nobody's talking about really, Black Lives Matter, individual liberty, freedom. Isn't that what the Constitution is all about? And then the military interventions, that we do involve ourselves in regime change. And as a result of that, the world is not a more safe place. Neither Trump or Clinton believe in free markets. I do believe free markets would lead to more U.S. jobs, growing economy.
And you're hearing from Clinton and her allies that this concern that a vote for you is a vote for Trump. You're hearing that from Bernie Sanders. You're hearing it from others. And also Tim Kaine, her vice presidential candidate, had this to say, drawing a comparison to 2000.
My argument against the ticket is the Al Gore, George W. Bush race in 2000. The third-party candidacy of Ralph Nader cost Gore electoral votes in New Hampshire and Florida. And if Gore had been president, we probably wouldn't have had a war in Iraq.
So what do you say to those who think you're electing Donald Trump?
I say the people that are voting for me are voting for Gary Johnson. And look, I take great pride in the fact that I am actually offering an alternative here. Smaller government, personal freedom, balancing the federal budget, looking at Medicaid and Medicare. Look, vote for Gary Johnson is a vote for Gary Johnson. 50% of people right now that are registering to vote are registering as independent. How is it that we only have 2 candidates that can represent the views of the United States? You know, I don't buy it, and I'm going to sleep well at the end of all this, giving people a first vote, not a second vote, not a lesser of 2 evils, but actually people that are going to be able to vote their conscience and vote for real change. And that's how you're going to change things in this country. Vote for the person that you believe in.
But even if
that's how you bring about change.
Even if you quadruple your vote, you're not going to get elected president. So either Trump or Clinton will almost certainly be the president. Which one worries you the most?
Well, they both do. Look, Donald Trump, immigration, I think we should be embracing immigration. We should not build a wall across the border. Hillary's answer to everything is growing government. Taxes are going to go up. Neither one of them are talking about reforming the entitlements. Neither one of them support free trade, that they're both claiming that they're against it. But Hillary, of course, one day she's against it, one day she's for it. Trump, going to force Apple to make their iPads and their iPhones in the United States. Trump, he wants to bring back waterboarding, torture, or worse? Haven't we fought wars over not doing that kind of thing? We are the beacon on the hill. I don't think life in America has ever been better. We get along with each other better. We communicate better with one another. Our kids are smarter than ever. We do have issues, discrimination. Black lives do matter. They're getting shot at the rate of 6 times that of whites. We've had our heads in the sand with regard to the discrimination that does exist. And George, I'll tell you, I've had my head in the sand on this issue. But I think we're going to come to grips with this faster, better than ever before. And it's back to the fact that we do communicate. The internet, amazing. There's going to be an onslaught on the internet with legislation that's really going to try and restrict our abilities to communicate or to compete equally with one another. The government is for sale.
Let me ask you one final question. You've said you're for free markets, you're against government regulation, and this week a comment circulating you made in 2011 where you said we have to think about climate change as a long-term issue, and here's what you said.
I think that we should. And the long-term view is that in billions of years, the sun is going to actually grow and encompass the earth, right? So global warming is in our future.
So that's you. Does that mean we don't do anything about it now?
No, George, come on. Can't we have a little humor once in a while? And that is long term. I mean, they're plate tectonics. At one point, Africa and South America separated, and I am talking now about the Earth and the fact that we have existed for billions of years and will going forward. Look, what it points to also is the fact that we do have to inhabit other planets. The future of the human race is space exploration. So no, that we should be prudent with the environment. We care about the environment. Look, clean air, clean water. I think the EPA exists to protect us against individuals, groups, corporations that would do us harm. Pollution is harm.
Governor Johnson, thanks for joining us this morning.
George, thank you very much for having me on.